So hello, my fellow Americans. My name's Carl Lester Anthony Jr., and if you may or may not know, I am running for your president of these United States for the year 2020 in this upcoming election. And today, I want to give you guys a talk about what I call regular man economics. I feel like our American money system has completely confused some of my fellow Americans to the point where they've disengaged. And they only believe like the higher, superior, rich political money guys. We always believe what they tell us because we don't really know. We don't really have like a layman's term way of breaking down the finance in America, our economical situation, and what we can do to resolve it. So me, as the regular man president, I feel it is my duty to take, complicated issues like our economy and bring it down to a layman's term level where everybody can understand what we're dealing with and what our country is facing on an economic level in this world. And that's what I'm here to bring for you today in Economics 101 by Carl Anthony for President. Let's check it out. All right, you ready? Okay, we're going to get into the economy now. So as you know, we have the American dollar, which is our money, our greenbacks, our best friends, our dead presidents, as we call them. And maybe one day, I'll get to be on the dollar. That'd be pretty cool, right? Yeah, right? Anyway, getting lost in the point. Talk about this money. Our American dollar is what we spend, it's how we eat, and I've watched it change, okay? Basically, the economy and really the world is one large pot of money, one large pot of resources. It's like a giant pizza pie that everybody shares. And each country has their own giant slice of that world-sized pizza pie called Earth that they share. And then they take their slice and they bring it back to their country, and then they share that slice with everybody else in the country. Money is not endless. There isn't always more money. There isn't always more resources. There isn't always more things to spend on. We are on a finite planet, in a finite universe, in a finite place. There is no more money. So, you guys may notice the stock market. When I was young, it was as low as 4,000 or 5,000 in overall value when I was a young guy. Maybe 6,000 when I was a kid. 4,000 or 5,000, 6,000. Now it is up to almost 30,000. Now the reason it's grown like this and it seems like progression and it seems good to you is because there's a little bit of a game being played here. Our money used to be based on gold. It was called the gold standard. It used to be, our money was directly related to how much gold we had, and that meant how much our money was worth in perspective to everybody else, and then we split that up, and that's what made your dollar worth what it was. You may have noticed back then when we were on the gold standard, it was a lot cheaper to do everything, a lot cheaper to deal with every American. You could raise a full family on one salary. But then around I believe the 60s, 70s, 80s, they switched off of what we call the gold standard to what we call a fiat currency. So our American money right now is no longer backed by gold like it was back in the day. It is backed by the confidence that America will continually produce. Now I'm going to tell you one thing, and nobody will tell you this. Only the regular guy president will. We're kind of running a Ponzi scheme, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. America is running a low-key Ponzi scheme. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. Every time you look up, we're always talking about printing more money, right? And selling more bonds to other countries. You want to know why they do that? Because every time we start to run out of money and it's time to pay for something, we sell some more bonds to somebody. So we just get another influx of money in. Or we get in trouble again, we print out some more fake money. And all that does, when we get more bonds, when we get that fake money, you know what that actually does? It actually waters down the overall worth of the dollar. That's why things get more expensive every year. That's why you see gas skyrocketing all the time. That's why prices are always going up. That's why it's more expensive every year. Because every year they're printing more money, selling more bonds, and spreading your American overall value out thin. It's like somebody pouring water into a liquor bottle to sell it to the whole room. So everybody thinks they got a little liquor, but the guy who's actually got the bottle who's pouring water in, he's really the only one getting drunk because he's taking the majority of it. And so that's why you see these NBA contracts and these other contracts. They seem so big, and the money that entertainers make, it seems so ridiculously large than anybody before. No, it's actually the same as people made back in the 80s and 70s. It's just we watered down the money so much that $1 million today looks like $5 million. But it still has no more worth than that $1 million had 10, 15, 20 years ago. And this is what you need to learn about the American economy. We are watering it down. So every time you see that volume go up in the stock market, they're like, oh, we hit 27,000. We hit 28,000. The rich guys are telling you, we just poured more water in the bottle. Then the stockbrokers scrape it off the top, just like Wolf of Wall Street. And the other rich groups, they scrape their money off the top, and then they turn away, and then the economy crashes. And then guess who they ask to pay for it? Us. We pay for it. They build it up, they pour water in the liquor bottle, they scrape all the good stuff off the top, and then they walk away. And then when it falls apart, they're like, oh, well, we're too big to suffer. I guess you guys got to pay for it to fix it. So not only do they kind of scam us out of the money, then take the money and go spend it. They didn't make us pay them for the money they stole from us. And that is how your American economy actually works. And you should be very upset to a certain extent. But it's also capitalism. It's also the game. It's also the balance. And this is what my policies that I'm coming up with as Carl Anthony for president are designed to help and alleviate. I love great guys like Bernie Sanders, got a lot of great plans, and I'm using a lot of his things. Democratic socialism, but we still got to be conservative. We still got to be fiscally responsible. We can't just be all willy-nilly just spreading everything too thin. And we want to make sure that successful Americans can take advantage of their success because we want to keep the rich rich. We don't want to break them, but we do have to calm some things down and get it under control. So that's one part about what's going on with the economy. I hope that made things a little more clear. Pouring liquor into the water bottle, scraping money off the top, keeping it at home, then coming back to us and ask us to pay them for what they took off as they spread it out and messed it up. Be aware of that, and that's what happens with the stock market. It is Wolf of Wall Street on a macro level, and we don't even know it. But everything is fine for now. But we do have an issue coming up. So, I don't know if you guys are ready for this. Right now, a lot of other countries are starting to buy a ton of gold. I'm talking about a ton of gold. China's buying a lot of gold. Most of the other countries are buying a lot of gold. Recently, the central banks around the world, in 2018, they had the largest request for gold purchase since 1971. You want to know how real that is? I'm 43, going on 44. I was born in 1975. So 4 years before I was born, there was money being asked for like that for gold. And that was right after they went off the gold standard. Ironically, right? Now we're back at that same situation where it's been 40, 50 years. And now there's this hard, large grasp for gold. I don't know if you know why we removed Muammar Gaddafi, shall we say. Well, Muammar Gaddafi was actually talking to all the Muslim countries about, instead of taking this American dollar, which is the reserve currency, which everybody uses for international transactions and everybody bases everything on, he said, you know what, forget that. Let's start deciding that you have to take gold for the oil from now on. Now, I don't know if you guys know, Fort Knox is empty. We don't have gold like we used to. We don't have a lot of gold like we used to back in the day. We sold it all off and used it off, and we're just having fun with our fiat money. If they switch to gold, we would become one of the poorest major countries out there. We would go from being the richest country ever to being like 15th or 20th on the list, because China and the Middle East and all these other guys have been stocking gold behind our backs for so long, and we're just having a good old time borrowing money. How do you think our debt is so big? We are the richest country in the history of the world. Why do we have a debt that is so big it is twice the size of the world's GDP? Hold on, we're the richest country ever, but yet we have the largest debt ever history? It sounds like we're not really as rich as we say we are. We're borrowing a lot of money from a credit card of sorts from other countries through their US bonds and through their investments into our country and printing extra money to spread things out. It is a total game. And we have somehow hoodwinked the rest of the world, because there was a time where we did have the most gold. Our reserve currency was valid. And you know what the key to a reserve currency is? It's actually not the money. It's actually not the gold. You know what the key is? How big is your military? Because You can say you want the reserve currency, but what if we just say, no, you can't? Well, then they just can't because we can beat everybody around the world. And that's the muscle that we're flexing. And I think the rest of the world is getting sick and tired of our games, of the bullying, the pushing around, the controlling, when we owe all of the money. Could you imagine if somebody walked into your house, they owe you $100,000 cash. Mind you, they're living good, spending it, having a good old time. And they walk into your house and they say, hey man, clean this up, man. You think you're living like an animal, man. Hey, what's wrong with you, man? You know what, I'm gonna fine you or something if you don't clean this up. You're like, hold up, buddy, you owe me $100,000. Don't tell me what you're gonna find me. Don't come in my house and tell me what to do. This is how other countries feel when America comes around. So it's something we really gotta fix, really gotta heal. And I think accidentally, Donald Trump is somewhat inflaming that circumstance, upsetting a lot of the countries, frustrating a lot of people. I don't know if you just saw on the news, he's going out to China to work on a cryptocurrency bond that we're considering building with them. So he knows what I'm talking about right now is coming, and he just hasn't told you yet. And they're not going to tell you. And it's going to be crazy. And what's going to happen is, if they actually do switch off of the dollar as the reserve currency, and they move to something like the Chinese yuan or gold, or maybe even a higher level cryptocurrency situation, the American dollar, guys, will immediately become almost like the American penny. And it may take a few months, it may take a few years. This is a 5 to 20 year situation. It could take 30 years before this happens. But it could happen in 5 years if mishandled by the wrong group of people. Because all they're going to do is they're going to mess it up, and they're just going to move to the next rich country, and they're going to leave us all here to fight over it, if you don't know. And it's going to be like Hunger Games. As strange as that seems, as utopian and not possible as that seems, it's actually a real possibility in the next 20 to 30 years if we don't manage our money properly, because we're reaching a tipping point. You know, before our GDP was the biggest, we produced the most, right? Well, China recently also has a 20 share of the world GDP. So they have as much GDP as we have right now, and they're passing us. So China is about to be kicking out more. China is potentially about to be the new America right in your face. That's why you see him in Africa. That's why you see him in the Middle East. That's why you see him giving Donald Trump trouble. China ain't playing. And if you don't know, China also owns, I believe, the majority of our US bonds, which are basically like stock in the United States government. Now, if you know anything about a company, you own 50% of somebody's stock, you own their company. And I guarantee you, if China ever turns around and says, you know what, I want to cash in all my bonds. I want to cash in all our stuff. And we're like, well, we can't pay you. Well, they're like, well, I guess we own America now. And of course, would somebody like Donald Trump, or even myself, want to say, no, got the biggest army, bigger than the next 6, come and try it, buddy. So that's where we're at right now, and that's where we're at this risk. And that's why you see these tensions around the world and other countries getting upset, and people moving here and people moving there, and he's working with Kim and he's working with this, and he's upset about trade. He knows what I'm talking about. We are at the risk of losing our reserve currency status, and you guys have got to be on top of it. So that's one thing. Another situation I wanted to talk about is what we're going to do to solve and deal with this particular concern. Now, I have a few items that I chose because, you know, as your president, I got to be solution-based, I got to be solution-oriented, and I want to make this best for us and tell us how we can avoid this potential tragedy. Everything is fine. Don't panic. The world isn't over yet. We haven't gone into superinflation. Nothing is wrong. Nothing will happen. Now, before I get into my solution things, I want to give you a real-world vision of how this will look when, if what happens, if we lose our reserve currency status, if we move into a potential superinflation moment. This is how your real life is going to happen. So one day, you're just going to be seeing on the news, there's going to be a little tension about possible war. There's going to be a big announcement from China, from a couple of other countries, big announcement. You're going to see it all over the news, but you're probably not going to pay too much attention to it because it just seems like some international stuff and these international guys are doing whatever. You know, you're an American. I'm going to watch my TV. But there's going to be a big announcement. You'll see it in the morning. We're going to talk about how China's moving over to gold. Now this other country is switching off, and you're going to hear reserve currency. You're going to hear these phrases being mentioned, and you'll see it all over the week. And then what's going to happen is, over the next week, possibly even days, maybe even month, over the next few days to weeks to month, every time you step outside the house, your gasoline price is going to be a little bit higher. Might be 5 cents a day, might be 10 cents a day. You might walk out the house and gas is $10 an hour tomorrow, if something like this actually happens. And then a month after that, it's going to be $50. And then a month after that, it'll be $100 a gallon. This is called superinflation. Your bread will go from $1 something to $27 for a loaf of bread, $58 for a container of milk. These things will happen. It can happen super fast, going from these low prices to those ridiculous prices in as short as a week, depending on how the rest of the world economy reacts to the gold shift. So we got to be aware of that, or to the reserve currency shift. It might be gold, they might go to the yuan, they may even go cryptocurrency, which I think is the future of money. And that's how superinflation works. It could take months for it to happen like that, it could take years for it to happen like that, or it can flat out happen overnight. And when it's really bad, it'll be noticeable. It'll be noticeable. It'll be like every time you look your head up, prices are going to be higher. You're like, yo, why is prices just going up? And you know what's not going to go up? Your paycheck's not going to go up. But your rent's going to go up. Your bills are going to go up. Everything else is going to go up. But your paycheck's going to stay the same. And they're going to say you just don't work hard enough. We're already working 2-3 jobs now just to raise some kids and have a family. When that happens, you probably have to work 6 to 7 jobs like the Haymans or the Headleys, as they were called from the 11 Color TV show. So that's the potential future. Superinflation. You don't want to see it. You're going to hear some weird news reports. You're going to start notice prices rising. And about a week to 2 weeks into it, you're going to start noticing people acting crazy. People losing jobs. People getting violent. It's going to go down. Potentially an apocalyptic level situation. Now, like I said, it's not happening tomorrow. Probably won't happen 5 years from now. Shoot, might not happen 20 years from now. My goal is to prepare, because it's coming. America is a Ponzi scheme, and we keep pouring water in the liquor bottle. We keep taking in more money to pay other people, just like Bernie Madoff, taking more money, pay that guy, taking more money, pay that guy, but they never fill anything on the back end. They just keep taking in more to hand it over here. And that's what America's been doing. That's why we have the largest debt, twice the size of the world's GDP, and we have to fix that immediately. And that's why I'm running for president of the United States, because I understand the economy on a regular man level, and I want to help you fix that issue. All right, so now let's get into my solutions, the final part of what we're going to do here. It's almost like financial kung fu that we're working on. So what we got going on here is, first I want to heal our relationships. We got to go around, heal relationships around the country, heal our trade relationships, heal our relationships with NATO and the UN. There's a little bit of tension going on there in beef. And also, we got to have debtors. Just like your bill collector's calling you every day, I'm sure at the White House, the phone is ringing off the hook. Like, hello, is President Trump there? Oh, yes. We need to collect that $40 million that you owe us from 7 years ago. All right. Oh, he's not available. We'll call him back again in 5 minutes. Click. That's how the U.S. government, that's how much debt the U.S. government is in. Just like we get calls 50 times a day, there's people asking them, like, hey, when are you going to pay me back? So that's something I want to heal. Deal with our debtors. Heal our trade relationships. Heal our NATO relationships. And heal our United Nations relationships, which, of course, NATO pretty much runs. But we'll figure that out as things go on. Number 2, as far as solutions, we got to repay those debts, as I mentioned. Not only let them know we're going to, but we got to figure out some kind of plan to get that money down so we don't have such a hole to deal with. Because if we lose the reserve currency, you realize how big that debt's going to be? You think it's big now. It'll triple, it'll quadruple, it'll 10 times. We'll even owe even more money if we lose the reserve currency. So that's something we got to get down. So if it does actually happen, we're not hit so hard. Also, we got to prepare ahead of time just in case things go wrong. So one of the things I want to do is transfer large segments of available US dollars and funds into gold and into cryptocurrency situations, and also precious metals. Gold, precious metals, and then the final thing, not only investing in other would look good cryptocurrencies, because we want to invest in ones that we think will survive so we can use that from an investment perspective, but we also need to start our own United States crypto dollar. That's right, we need a United States crypto dollar. And I think this is going to save us down the road. Not now, 5, 6 years, maybe 10, 20 years from now, we're going to have to shift off this paper dollar. Don't you think you're going to be holding those paper dollars for too much longer? Don't you think it's going to stay the same? In time, maybe this lifetime, maybe the next, maybe it's 20 years, maybe it's 50 years, but it's coming. And if we don't prepare for it, we're going to fall in a hole, everything will crash, all the rich guys will leave, and then we'll move to India and China and Russia, all the places where everything will still be fine. The EU, apparently the euro is going to be fine too after this. We are going to be hurt. We are going to become a third world country overnight sometime down the road if we don't handle this issue properly. So I really wanted to talk to you guys about that. Economics 101, the economy. Just a quick short review of what the economy is once again. The American economy, the stock market, bunch of water going into a liquor bottle. Every time they have trouble, they just print more money. They sell more bonds, pour more water in the liquor bottle. Then the stockbrokers scrape their piece off top. The big rich guys scrape their piece off top. And then when something goes wrong with the company, they make you and me pay for what they scraped off top and did not use to properly run that company. We can't have it. I won't have it. And that's why Carl Anthony Jr. is running for president of these United States. Economics 101. I love every American. Vote for me. Write me in. And please take the $1 challenge. Go to my GoFundMe. Donate just $1 to your boy. I don't need the money for fun. I don't need the money to party. I have a decent job. That's not my problem. My problem is I need to promote. I need to advertise to you guys. Take the $1 challenge. Go to my GoFundMe. Throw in $1. Get out of there. That's all. I get 50 cents. I don't care. The point is to get hands on. Also, a small note. I'm going to set up a petition so we can start signing the petition so I can be actually on the ballot in every other state. So that's going to be up soon too. Beyond that, love you guys. I love America. I love my people. Strong power to the average everyday man, the regular man president, Carl Lester Anthony Jr. I am here for you, and we have to prepare because times are coming. And there's a reason why Donald Trump is president. There's a reason why some of the crazy stuff you're saying is. We're living at a very significant time in history, and we cannot waste this opportunity. I love you guys. America, we're out of here.